Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have a cold lesson.
That's right. It's the winter season, and of course, it gets cold in a lot of different places around the world, and so we're going to talk about heating.
Okay, this is very important, but before we do get started, we have a very important word to preview in Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
All right, so we're going to preview the word freezing.
It is freezing today, by the way, so this is very appropriate. Freezing means very, very, very cold.
Okay, it is freezing. Okay, so it's very cold. It's freezing today.
It's so cold, in fact, you can't have water outside because the water will become ice.
It will freeze. Okay, great word. So let's listen to our dialogue for the very first time.
It's freezing in here. Can I turn up the heat?
Don't touch that thermostat. You don't pay the bills around here.
Dad, are you serious? What's the point of having central heating if we can't use it? Look, I can see my breath.
Put on a sweater. I'm not going to let you run up my heating bill just because it's a bit chilly.
Dad, I'm going to catch a cold.
When I was your age, my parents didn't have central heating like you do. We had a furnace in the center of the living room, and that was it. We used it to cook, heat the house, and even dry our clothes. We never caught a cold. You should be grateful.
All right, we're back, and this is actually what a lot of dads are like, I think, around the world.
Yep, my dad definitely liked to keep the heat low
Really?
in our house. Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's take a look at some 4 words on language takeaway today.
Language takeaway.
Well, this first word is important for anyone who has a home with heating. It's called a thermostat.
All right, a thermostat. What is a thermostat?
A thermostat is a dial or a device on the wall that tells you how hot or how cold the house is. It's like a thermometer for your house.
Okay, so you can move the thermostat, the temperature, to make the house warmer or colder, right?
Right, so if it says it's 20 degrees and I think that's too cold, I can turn the thermostat up to 23 degrees.
All right. And, very much related to a thermostat and what this device does is our next word, central heating.
Right, so if you have central heating, you have a thermostat. That's the way to control the heat. And central heating means that you have one heater for the whole house. And so the air comes into all the different rooms. So not many places in China have this, but for example, in the United States and Canada, it is very common.
Okay, so your house or your apartment building will have central heating, and then you can control how cold or warm the house is with thermostats.
Exactly.
Very good. And well, our next word is related to temperature, and it's chilly.
Chilly. Okay, so there's a big difference between chilly and freezing. Freezing means very, very, very cold. Chilly means a little cold.
Right. So it's a little cold. It's a bit chilly.
Right, so it's a bit chilly today. I'm going to wear a hat. Okay, if it's freezing, I'm going to wear a hat and mittens and a scarf and coat and boots.
All right. So if it's a bit chilly, it's not very cold. And well, moving on, the dad mentioned about him having a furnace when he was young.
That's right. The dad had a furnace in his house, and the furnace is a way to heat your house. It's like a stove.
So yeah, just consider it like a big oven, right? Maybe you've seen it in the old movies where you would have to throw firewood into the furnace to make it heat up the house.
Exactly. And so this is very common in older homes and not very common in apartments.
Right. And well, that's all the words we have for language takeaway today. Why don't we listen to this chilly dialogue again?
It's freezing in here. Can I turn up the heat?
Don't touch that thermostat. You don't pay the bills around here.
Dad, are you serious? What's the point of having central heating if we can't use it? Look, I can see my breath.
Put on a sweater. I'm not going to let you run up my heating bill just because it's a bit chilly.
Dad, I'm going to catch a cold.
When I was your age, my parents didn't have central heating like you do. We had a furnace in the center of the living room, and that was it. We used it to cook, heat the house, and even dry our clothes. We never caught a cold. You should be grateful.
All right, we're back. So now we have prepared for you 3 key phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency builder.
Okay, so this first phrase is related to thermostat, okay? So thermostat, like we said, is like a thermometer, but we can control the temperature. So if we want to make the temperature hotter, we turn up the thermostat.
Okay, so this is a phrasal verb, to turn up the heat.
You could say this about heat. You could say this about noise, too. Can you turn up the radio?
Turn up the volume. Mm-hmm. So it's to increase.
To increase, to make bigger or warmer or louder.
All right, and if we wanted to decrease the temperature in the thermostat, you would say...
Turn down.
Turn down the heat.
Exactly. So it's too hot in here. Can you please turn down the heat?
All right, very good. And our next phrase is, the dad was talking about the bills and how expensive it is to use the thermostat. And he said, I'm not going to let you run up my heating bill.
Okay, so a bill is like, something that you pay. It's money. And so in this case, I don't want you to run up the bill. That means to increase the amount of money I have to spend.
Mm-hmm. So maybe if you leave your television on all night, you're running up your electricity bill.
Exactly. Or if you talk on the phone 10 hours a day, you run up the phone bill and your mother kills you.
Right. All right. And the daughter was complaining about her catching a cold, to catch a cold.
All right. So remember this. A cold is when you have maybe a runny nose and a cough and a sore throat. It usually happens when the weather changes, but we don't get a cold. You catch a cold.
Okay.
And remember, like in baseball, you throw and catch. It's something that's fast.
All right. So you catch a cold. What about the flu? Do you get the flu or catch the flu?
So you can't catch a flu, but you can catch a cold. Just remember this phrase, to catch a cold. I caught the cold. Mm-hmm. No, to catch a cold, or I caught a cold. It's almost like if I have it, I could throw it to you, Marco. Achoo! And you catch it.
Right, because it's in the air, the virus.
Yeah, it passes very quickly.
All right, very good. So an interesting dialogue. Let's listen to it one last time.
It's freezing in here. Can I turn up the heat?
Don't touch that thermostat. You don't pay the bills around here.
Dad, are you serious? What's the point of having central heating if we can't use it? Look, I can see my breath.
Put on a sweater. I'm not going to let you run up my heating bill just because it's a bit chilly.
Dad, I'm going to catch a cold.
When I was your age, my parents didn't have central heating like you do. We had a furnace in the center of the living room, and that was it. We used it to cook, heat the house, and even dry our clothes. We never caught a cold. You should be grateful.
All right, we're back, and you mentioned about thermostat and your dad actually controlling the heating at home. Was this the case like this in this scenario?
It was sometimes would have to wear more clothes because we didn't want to run up the bill. But we had a special situation in my house because I'm from Chicago and it's very cold in the winters in Chicago, but we had a fireplace.
Oh.
Okay, so even if it was very cold, we always had firewood and we could put on the fire in the fireplace to keep warm. So everyone would stay in the living room and read and listen to music and just, relax.
Now, I heard that because, when you're burning wood, it causes some pollution. In some cities, it's banned, right, to actually turn on to have a fireplace.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but in Chicago, you can still do it.
Absolutely. And in most of the states, you can. Although a lot of people in new houses, they don't have real fireplaces. They have electric fireplaces. And so you can use a light switch to turn on your fire. It's not a real fire. It's just a glowing
fancy
light. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. This is an interesting lesson, especially because the winter season is coming up and, everyone is cold. So we hope you enjoyed it.
Heating. Understanding warmth in our lives. This topic is about heating, and it is made to help people who are learning English at the elementary and intermediate levels. Heating is an important part of life, especially in places where the weather can get cold. It helps people stay warm, safe, and comfortable in their homes, schools, and workplaces. By learning about heating and English, learners can improve their vocabulary, understand how heating systems work and feel more confident in everyday situations, such as asking for help with a heater or talking about the temperature. Heating is something we all use, but we don't often think about how to talk about it in another language. This topic gives learners the chance to build their English skills by exploring something useful and real. Through this topic, learners will practice reading, listening, speaking, and writing about heating in simple and clear ways. They will learn new words, phrases, and sentences that are used in daily conversations about warmth and heating. This is a practical and meaningful way to improve their English and use it in the real world. What heating is and why it matters. Heating is the process of making a place warmer, especially when the weather is cold. People all over the world use different kinds of heating systems in their homes, schools, and other buildings. Heating is not just about feeling warm and cozy. It is also important for health and safety. When the weather is cold, our bodies lose heat quickly. If we don't stay warm, we can get sick or feel very uncomfortable. Heating helps us keep our homes at a safe and comfortable temperature so we can sleep well, study well, and enjoy our time indoors. There are many different ways people use heating. In some homes, people use heaters that blow warm air. In other places, people may have radiators, which are metal parts on the wall that get hot and warm up the room. Some homes use wood or coal stoves, especially in small towns or villages. In very modern buildings, heating can come from the floor or from the walls. Some systems use electricity, while others use gas, oil, or firewood. Each type of heating works in a different way, and each one has good and bad points. Heating is also different in different countries. In cold countries, heating is very important and used for many months. People prepare for winter by checking their heating systems, buying fuel, and making sure windows and doors are closed tightly. In warmer countries, people might not use heating at all or only use it for a short time during the coldest months. Some people even use electric blankets or small portable heaters just for a few hours. Learning how heating works in different parts of the world helps English learners understand different lifestyles and cultures. Knowing how to talk about heating in English is very useful. For example, if you're visiting another country, living in a dormitory, or renting a house, you might need to ask questions about the heater. You may need to say, "The heater is not working," or "How do I turn this on?" You may also need to understand signs, instructions, or labels on a heater. If the weather report says it will be very cold, you might talk about needing more heat. All these small conversations are part of daily life, and they help you stay comfortable and safe. Learning English through the topic of heating also gives you the chance to practice many useful words. Words like warm, cold, temperature, heater, fireplace, blanket, and thermostat are just a few examples. You will also come across verbs like turn on, turn off, adjust, increase, or fix. These are words that are used in many other situations too, not just about heating. So by learning this topic, you are also learning how to communicate in many parts of daily life. Talking about heating can also lead to other interesting topics like energy use, saving money, helping the environment, and how people in the past stayed warm without modern technology. It can help you ask questions like, how do we stay warm in a smart way? What are better ways to heat a house? How can we save energy and still feel comfortable? By deeply learning about heating, learners not only improve their English, but also understand an important part of everyday life. It helps them talk clearly about their needs, understand others better, and become more confident using English in practical and meaningful ways. Types of heating and the words we use. Heating is something that comes in many forms. Around the world, people use different systems and tools to stay warm during cold days and nights. Each type of heating has its own words, sounds, smells, and even feelings. For English learners at the elementary and intermediate levels, Understanding the types of heating and the vocabulary that goes with them is a great way to build language skills while learning about real-life situations. Let's begin with central heating. This is one of the most common ways to heat homes and buildings, especially in colder countries. Central heating usually works by using a boiler that heats water. The hot water then travels through pipes to radiators in each room. Radiators are metal objects that spread the heat into the room. Some radiators are hot to the touch, and you can feel the warmth when you stand near them. When talking about this system, people often use words like boiler, pipes, radiator, circulation, and thermostat. A thermostat is a device that controls the temperature. You can turn it up to make the room warmer or turn it down to save energy. Next, there is electric heating. This type of heating uses electricity to make heat. One example is an electric heater, which is a small machine that you can plug into the wall. It blows warm air into the room. Some electric heaters are portable, so you can carry them from one room to another. Others are fixed into the wall. Some homes even have electric heating inside the floor. This is called underfloor heating. The words that are common with electric heating include plug in, switch on, coil, fan, socket. Learners may also hear warnings like do not cover or keep away from water on these machines. There's also gas heating. In this system, a gas furnace or a gas heater burns fuel to make heat. The heat is then spread through the house. Gas heating is often cheaper than electricity, but it needs to be used carefully. There are safety concerns with gas, like gas leaks or carbon monoxide. For this reason, people often talk about gas safety, ventilation, carbon monoxide detectors, and annual inspections. Understanding these words can help you stay safe and ask the right questions. In some places, especially in the countryside or in colder regions, people still use wood or coal for heating. They may have a fireplace or a stove. A fireplace is a place where you can burn wood to make a fire. A stove is like a closed box where fire burns, and it warms the whole room. People using this kind of heating often talk about firewood, logs, ashes, chimney, smoke, burn, and clean out. You might hear someone say, add more wood to the fire, or the chimney needs cleaning. These are common phrases when heating is done the traditional way. Besides these main types, there are also smaller items people use to stay warm. People use electric blankets, hot water bottles, heated pads, or thick comforters. These are not part of a big heating system, but they help in personal comfort. The vocabulary in this area includes blanket, quilt, warm up, wrap, heat up, and cuddle. For English learners, it is helpful to also learn the phrases people use in daily conversation about heating. For example, people say, it's freezing in here, or let's turn on the heat, or the heater isn't working. In service situations, someone might say, can you check the boiler, or please fix the radiator. In casual conversation, people talk about how cold or warm they feel, like, my feet are cold, or this room feels cozy. These phrases help learners become part of real conversations in English-speaking environments. Another important part of this topic is describing temperature and comfort. Words like chilly, warm, boiling, frosty, cool, toasty, and lukewarm are commonly used. These help people explain themselves better and more naturally. For example, it's chilly in the morning, or I like it to be toasty in the bedroom. Descriptive words like these help learners express themselves better and more naturally. Finally, the idea of heating is connected to time and daily routine. People talk about when to turn on the heat, early in the morning, just before bed, or only in the evening. Some use timers or smart heating systems. These systems can be controlled with a mobile phone or voice command. Phrases like set the timer, program the heating, or use the app to control the temperature are part of today's modern vocabulary. By learning about the different types of heating and the language connected to them, English learners can build strong vocabulary, better listening skills, and more natural speaking ability. They can talk about their daily lives, explain problems, and ask for help when needed. Heating is a normal, everyday topic, but when it is explored deeply, it becomes a powerful tool for language learning. Heating in daily life and how we talk about it. Heating is more than just a system or a machine. It's a big part of everyday life, especially during the colder months. We may not always think about it, but heating plays. If someone wants to get help from a professional, they may need to make a phone call or send a message. On the phone, they can say things like, "Hi, I need help with my heater. It's not heating properly." Or, "Could someone come and take a look today?" In a message or email, they might write, "The heating system in my apartment isn't working. The radiator stays cold and the temperature doesn't change even when I turn the dial. Please let me know when someone can come to fix it." Writing about problems like this is a useful skill for both English practice and real-world needs. In some cases, people also talk about heating problems when traveling. In a hotel room, they might say, "The room is cold. Is there a heater?" Or, "The heating system doesn't seem to be working." In colder places, tourists may need to rent places with good heating. So phrases like, "Does the apartment have heating?" or "Is heating included in the price?" are also important for learners who plan to travel or stay in new places. Understanding how to talk about heating problems in English also helps learners develop listening skills. When someone gives advice, they may say, "Try turning the dial to the right. Make sure the windows are closed," or "Give it a few minutes to warm up." These sentences may seem simple, but they are part of many service calls or help from friends and neighbors. Learners who understand them can follow instructions and solve problems more easily. In summary, talking about heating problems in English involves more than just knowing the names of parts or systems. It involves expressing your needs, asking for help, giving information clearly, and understanding advice or warnings. These skills are essential in real life and give learners more power to live, travel, or work in English-speaking environments. Heating problems may be uncomfortable, but they offer valuable learning moments that connect language with daily living. Heating and the environment. Learning English through energy, climate, and responsibility. Heating is not only a part of personal comfort, it also plays a role in the wider world. As we keep ourselves warm during cold months, we are also using energy, which can have an effect on the planet. For English learners, understanding how heating connects to the environment is not just about learning new vocabulary. It is about learning how to think, speak, and act with awareness. In this final part, we will look deeply at how heating affects energy use and climate, and how learners can develop the language to talk about these important ideas in English. When people heat their homes, schools, or offices, they usually use electricity, gas, or fuel like oil or wood. All of these energy sources come from the earth. Some are renewable, meaning they can be replaced, like solar power or wind power. Others, like coal and natural gas, are non-renewable, which means they will eventually run out. Using large amounts of non-renewable energy can also release gases like carbon dioxide into the air, which adds to climate change. These are big ideas, but even simple English words and phrases can help us understand and talk about them. In recent years, more people have begun to ask questions like, how can we heat our homes in a cleaner way? How can we use less energy? Or how can we protect the environment while staying warm? These questions are being asked in schools, businesses, governments, and homes all over the world. For English learners, talking about these issues means learning vocabulary like energy efficient, renewable energy, carbon footprint, eco-friendly heating, insulation, solar panels, and sustainable choices. One way people reduce their use of energy is by improving insulation. This means adding materials to walls, windows, or doors that help keep warm air inside. When a building is well insulated, it stays warmer for longer, and the heater doesn't have to work as hard. This saves energy and money. Phrases like energy-saving windows, double-glazed glass, and seal the drafts are useful for learners to understand when reading about or talking about ways to improve a home. Another way people use less energy is by switching to smart heating systems. These systems can be controlled by a smartphone or a timer. They let people heat only the rooms they are using and only at the times they need. For example, someone might say, I set my heating to turn on 30 minutes before I get home. Or, the app lets me turn off the heater when I'm not in the room. These are real-life examples of how heating is changing and how new language can grow around it. Solar heating is another topic that combines heating and the environmental care. Solar panels can collect the sun's energy and use it to heat water or air inside a building. This kind of heating does not create pollution and can be used in many places around the world. Learners can use phrases like solar-powered, natural heating, clean energy, and green technology to describe these systems. Even if a learner doesn't use solar heating personally, they can take part in global conversations about new technology and environmental hope. There are also smaller changes that people can make to use less energy. These include wearing warm clothes indoors, using heavy curtains to keep the heat inside, and turning the heat down at night. In English, we talk about these habits using simple sentences like lower the thermostat, put on another sweater, or close the door to keep the warmth in. These everyday actions show that small choices can help protect the planet while keeping us comfortable. Another idea that connects heating to the environment is how heating affects air quality. In some places, people burn wood or coal to stay warm, especially in rural areas. This can create smoke and pollution, which is bad for people's health and for the environment. Cities may put limits on when people can burn fuel or ask them to switch to cleaner methods. English learners may hear phrases like air pollution, smoke control zones, clean air laws, and environmental regulations. Understanding these terms helps people follow local rules and join community discussions. Learning about heating and the environment also means thinking about fairness. In some parts of the world, people don't have access to safe or reliable heating. Others may not be able to afford to heat their homes in winter. This is sometimes called fuel poverty or energy poverty. These terms are important in discussions about climate justice and human rights. English learners who understand this topic can read the news, write essays, or take part in debates on social and environmental issues. Schools, governments, and media often talk about ways to reduce heating-related pollution and create a greener future. English learners may hear about green building codes, climate action plans, energy-efficient homes, and renewable energy targets. These ideas are part of larger efforts to fight global warming, and being able to talk about them in English helps learners join international discussions. Heating can even be part of writing and creative expression. Learners might write essays, poems, or letters about their experiences with winter, energy use, and hopes for the future. They might say, in my country, many people use wood to heat their homes. Or, I hope one day we can all use clean energy. These sentences combine personal experience with global awareness, and they help learners build strong, meaningful English skills. In the end, heating isn't just about staying warm. It's about how we live, how we use the Earth's resources, how we care for our neighbors, and how we imagine a better world. By learning the language of heating in English, we are doing more than learning words. We are learning how to live wisely, speak clearly, and take part in the warm, shared world we all belong to. Heating connects our bodies, our homes, and our Earth. And language connects our thoughts, our hopes, and each other. When we learn to speak about heating in English, we are doing more than learning words. We are learning how to live wisely, speak clearly, and take part in the warm, shared world we all belong to.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Acquire bills or debts. Run up. Increase the intensity of a device. Churn up. Very cold. Chilly. Become infected with a cold. Catch a cold. Thankful. Grateful.
Let's try that faster.
Acquire bills or debts. Run up. Increase the intensity of a device. Churn up. Thankful. Grateful. Become infected with a cold. Catch a cold. Very cold. Chilly.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Run up. He ran up a very expensive tab at the local bar. Run up. The new heating system they installed ran up their electric bill. Run up. They were running up huge bills with his new spending habits. Churn up. Honey, could you please turn up the heat? It's freezing in here. Churn up. I need to turn up the heat or I'll freeze. Churn up. I wish I could turn up the heat, but I don't have any control in this hotel room. Chilly. It's starting to get a little chilly in here. Chilly. He said that it was so chilly that he had to put 2 sweaters on. Chilly. It is very chilly in this room. Catch a cold. You will catch a cold if you don't put a sweater on. Catch a cold. My friend Amy caught the flu and had to stay home for a week. Catch a cold. He caught a cold last week, and now we all have it too. Grateful. I am so grateful that the police came just in time. Grateful. He was so grateful that he could finally see his daughter again. Grateful. She was very grateful to have such wonderful friends.